Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah.
OPPO's always been at the forefront of innovation. The first phone with a motorized camera, flipping camera module, well, it was an OPPO. Remember the whole CyanogenMod mod fiasco? Now, with Full HD displays, with Quad HD displays, they were very early. In fact, it's arguable that they had the first Full HD phone, and they even had the first rollable. So doesn't all this make it really strange that, say for example, Samsung's got 3 generations of foldables already, 2 different lines of foldables, whereas OPPO has none? Turns out they have indeed been working on foldables all this time, going through prototype after prototype after prototype, and finally now OPPO believes they have a release candidate, one that they're happy with enough to release to the public. Meet the Find N. So is all this time spent actually worth it? Does the Find N do something markedly better than other existing foldables in the market? My name's Ash, and let me tell you all about it. See, there are some things with foldables that we've for a long time been taking as the norm. Now, I'm not going to go to say as far as OPPO's thrown out the book, but they've more tinkered around with it, and I think they're better for it. So, what have they tinkered around with? First, the crease. One of the biggest challenges with foldables is that crease, because you fold something, that is going to be a crease, right? And this is all the more annoying on a phone like, say, the Z Flip, where it's a smaller display. You're going to have to swipe through it. You're going to have to touch that part of the display a lot. Every time you touch it, you notice the crease. And even on a phone like the Fold, whether it's the Samsung Fold or the Mix Fold or whatever foldable it is, these creases are annoying. I mean, even when you're watching a video or something, it's there. It is kind of a little bit distracting. Now, to avoid it, what, say, Motorola did on the Razr is that they provided a dewdrop kind of, a little bit of extra space for the fold so that the crease isn't as sharp, it isn't as prominent. And OPPO has done something similar with the Find N. So when you're folding the phone, there is a little bit of a curve on the display over there. It's not as acute as it is on other phones. So that means this isn't a sharp crease, and when you're watching a video or going through a website, you don't really notice this anymore. Of course, when you touch it or you look for it, you can still see it. It's not gone. With current technology, there is not a way for it to totally go away, but they've minimized the negative impact that it has on the end user, and I feel that's really good. Now guys, my first experience with foldables was with the Z Fold 2. Now that's a phone I got to use only for a single day, and at that point I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. The novelty of it just drew me in, so that when I was waiting for my next phone, the next foldable, that was the Mix Fold that I covered, I was so excited, more so than I can remember in a long time. So I genuinely thought I was going to retain it as my secondary phone. But then once I started using it, I kind of, once the novelty factor wore off, I kind of noticed one major issue. Now with foldables, like for example with the Mix Fold, the outer display, it's a 27:9 screen, that's 3:1. It's a narrow display. Even with something like the Z Fold 3, it's still 25:9, a little better, but it's still narrow, it's long. And the more you use it, you kind of find yourself opening up the phone all the time to the larger screen. Now foldables are more expensive than regular phones, right? And why do we pay more for something? We pay more for something if it makes our life easier, if it makes something more convenient. Of course, the cool factor of it is there, and foldables are cool, yes, but once that novelty wears off, there needs to be some kind of quality of life improvement. And that is something I found lacking, because the front screen being this narrow means nothing's really getting sped up. Even for regular stuff that I need to use the phone for, I found myself opening it a lot. Now this is something OPPO has addressed. The display on the outside, it's 5.5 inches, but it's 18:9. So that's a wider aspect ratio than what you'd find on, say, the Galaxy S21, which has 20:9, or the iPhone 13, which has 19.5:9. So it's a pretty wide screen, and you'd find yourself right at home for day-to-day tasks. Now yes, being a foldable, it is thicker than other phones I just mentioned, but that's the way it is. There's no way around it, right? So when you usually open a foldable up, you need to change the orientation to get the maximum screen real estate if you're going to watch a video. But over here, since the phone is not taller than it is wider once you open it up, it's an 8.4 by 9 aspect ratio, so it's almost a square. You're going to get the maximum screen real estate for watching videos once you open it up. You don't have to change that orientation. It's not a big thing because, as Mr. Who's the Boss pointed out, with the maximum screen real estate, you're still going to get lesser video playback area than you would on a, say, iPhone 13 because of all the black bars you get at the top and bottom because of that square aspect ratio. But still, it's a small little convenience advantage, and hey, an advantage is an advantage, right? Now, apart from that, the fact that the phone is this size means they've managed to keep the weight a little bit manageable. It's about 35 grams heavier than something like the ROG Phone 5 or even the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, the final advantage for this phone is going to be the pricing. Now, in China, they've launched it for 10,000 RMB. Right now, it's only available in China. And in China, the Z Fold 3, it sells for 12,000 RMB, so about 20% cheaper. Now, while these are all positives, the other shortcomings that we generally see with foldables, they're still present here. Like on the Z Fold 2 or the Mix Fold, the refresh rate of the outer display doesn't match to what's on the inside. So you get 120 Hz on the inside, 60 Hz on the outside. There is no IP rating. And given all the tech that's been baked into this form factor, the battery is a little anemic. It's 4500 milliamp hour, which is not bad. But again, when you look at something like the ROG Phone 5 with a 6000 milliamp hour battery that's still lighter than this phone, yes, it's not a foldable, but you get what I'm saying. 4500 mAh for this size screen might be just about okay. It's pushing it a little too hard in my opinion. And there's also not enough third-party app support. For example, even with something like YouTube, when you're just watching a video, you can't just prop it up and watch a video because the video doesn't cut exactly at the center. So this kind of support is something OPPO could have, or rather should have, worked on. But then again, the first-party app support has been done really well, splitting right down the middle to get 2 apps running at once, literally giving you 2 phones in one. That's very well implemented, because when you split right through with this aspect ratio, what you end up with 16.8 by 9 aspect ratio displays. So like I said, it's literally 2 phones in one here. Now, apart from that, it's still a pretty solid flagship. You've got all flagship internals, the Snapdragon 888 running the show, up to 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM, up to 512 gigs of super fast UFS 3.1 storage. And then you also have 3 cameras to the back, pretty solid flagship cameras, almost. You could technically, given how this phone is built, use them for selfies or video calls or whatnot. Now these cameras, the samples you're seeing, they were shot from these cameras. The primary is the 50 megapixel f1.8 with OIS. The secondary, the ultra wide, that's a 16 megapixel. It isn't too bad either. But the telephoto, here's where the almost part comes in, because space constraints means no periscope. You gotta deal with a 2x shooter. That is pretty fine though. So overall, the Find N, it feels like a pretty solid phone. OPPO's decision here to kind of tinker around with the script, it was ballsy, but I feel it has paid off. I think the Find N is one of the most functional foldables out there today. Now, does this mean I'm telling you should go out and get one? Well, even if I did, even if you wanted to, the Find N is currently restricted to China, so you're not going to be able to. But even if you had access to it, I don't think you should just run out and get one yet. Because foldables, the Find N is a step in the right direction. There are a lot more things to address with foldables before I think they could become mainstream. But like I said, this one is a very strong step in the right direction. So that's been my take on OPPO's latest foldable. If you have anything to add, if you feel there is something I missed, or you think there is something else about the Find N that you liked or disliked, let me know in the comments below. And if you did like this video, go ahead, like the video. If you disliked it, dislike it. Share it if you can. If you have something more to say, leave them in the comments. And that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name is Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.